Pasadena's Colorado Boulevard, site of the spectacular Tournament of Roses parade. Each New Year's Day, this busy thoroughfare becomes center stage for the colorful pageant that commands worldwide attention. 1.5 million spectators line the parade route. Another 130 million enjoy the parade on TV as 60 self-propelled floats, interspersed with colorful marching bands and handsome equestrian units, vie for coveted awards. This is the unique story of Cal Poly's annual Rose Parade entry. A story of youthful exuberance and ingenuity, of volunteerism and commitment, of year-long planning and meeting deadlines while working in cooperation with others. Above all, it's a story of learning and growing through hands-on experiences and involvement. Cal Poly's float is particularly unique in this highly competitive tournament that began in 1894. It is the only float that is entirely funded, designed, constructed, and decorated by an all-volunteer group of students. Even the majority of flowers that cover its massive surface are planted, nurtured, and harvested by the students. The float is a joint project bringing together California's 2 independent polytechnic universities. And even though more than 200 miles separate the campuses of Pomona and San Luis Obispo, the students successfully merge their efforts into award-winning entries year after year. By parade time, approximately 25,000 hours of student time will be donated to this effort. For most of these volunteer students, there will be no class credit awarded, but the long, hard hours of work will provide learning and growth that is unattainable in the classroom. The real world, real-time demands of this project leave a lasting imprint on all who participate. Many long-term relationships are built, with some even resulting in marriage. Practical, hands-on experiences abound. Engineers see their drawings turn into working mechanisms. Business majors may learn to weld. English majors may program a computerized robot. Everyone gains. Planning and recruitment begin each February when the new student committees are formed on each campus. In March, after the current year's parade theme is announced, a float design contest is launched on both campuses. The final design is selected at a combined conference of the 2 student committees. A full weekend is spent poring over the 100 or more competing designs. Each is closely scrutinized for theme interpretation, use of animation, originality, and humor. The student judges are mindful of the winning tradition that precedes them. They want to add their own major banner award to the impressive list of winners that has been gathered since Cal Poly's first entry in 1949. Once a design has been selected, an artist's rendering is completed and a scale model constructed. The model builders strive for accuracy in every detail in order to anticipate construction and animation problems. In April, the flower fields are groomed and fumigated. Cuttings from last year's flower stocks are also prepared for greenhouse nurturing. Planting follows in late May and early June. Acres of mums, calendulas, carnations, zinnias, and bachelor buttons are needed to cover the float. The flowers will be continually tended until their December blossoming time. With the arrival of summer, school is out for most students, and the engineering of the float begins in earnest with the development of highly detailed structural drawings. Color illustrations of the main features are also drawn. Material requirements are calculated, and the gathering of necessary structural material begins. Contacts with former equipment and material donors are renewed, and new donors are actively pursued. In September, training and orientation sessions are held for newly recruited student volunteers. Work teams are formed and construction work begins. The mobile platform is built first. This massive steel frame must be modified each year to conform to the new configuration of the winning design. A 250 horsepower industrial V8 engine donated by a major automobile manufacturer is installed and harnessed to several hydraulic pumps, which in turn propel the float and many of its animation devices. Animation has been an award-winning feature of Cal Poly's floats for many years. Often, the design incorporates up to 50 distinct moving parts. Each of these elements are controlled and sequenced by a donated microcomputer, creating a wide variety of movements which lend interest and humor to the float's appearance. A separate generator engine, 3 miles of electrical wiring, and over 1,000 feet of pipe and hoses are used to power and link the computer, electric motors, and hydraulic devices that produce the animated movements. The skills and techniques learned and developed through producing these animated features have direct application to the fast-growing field of robotics. The inner workings of each moving part must be handcrafted. Their hinged joints and hydraulic lines often take on a skeletal appearance, suggesting the shapes that will emerge once the outer skins are formed and applied. The exterior forms are also painstakingly crafted. First, pencil-sized steel rods are bent and fabricated to establish basic shapes. Next, chicken wire or window screening is attached to the rods. Plywood and styrofoam materials are also used to sculpt the float's wide variety of shapes. Occasionally during the year, social events are organized. Picnics, outings, and seasonal parties help maintain team spirit and relieve the building pressure of the ensuing deadline. Throughout October and November, the construction teams at each campus work every Saturday as well as many weekday evenings and Sundays. Late in November, sections that have been built at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo are transported to the Pomona campus and merged with the superstructure, a major test of the precision engineering, planning, and coordination that has taken place over the past 9 months. In early December, classes at the university are dismissed for the holidays, and the pace picks up significantly. Students often put in an 18 to 20-hour day. Many will work around the clock to meet their commitments. Countless personal sacrifices are made as the holiday season quickly approaches. By this time, the float is a gigantic tangle of metal wire, pipes, and hoses about to be magically transformed by the application of an outer covering. Excitement builds as the cocooning process begins. Images seen only in drawings and imagined for 8 months begin to emerge as a rubber latex skin is applied. The cobweb-like material is sprayed on layer after layer, filling the holes of the wire mesh and screening. The float slowly but surely begins to look like something other than an engineering nightmare. Its final form is now clearly recognizable, but a great deal of work remains. The white cocoon skin must now be color-coded. Each color detail of the float's design is painted on the latex cocoon surface. The colors serve as guides for those who will soon be applying flowers and other forms of vegetation to every square inch of the float's visible surface. A few days before Christmas, between the hours of midnight and 6 a.m., the float is slowly moved over 25 miles of surface streets from Pomona to one of the tournament flowering facilities in Pasadena. It's a long, tense night for the builders. Meanwhile, 40 to 50 students are working diligently at the flower harvest. Each variety of flower is cut, sorted, bundled, and refrigerated to retain its freshness. Around December 27th, the flower decoration begins. It is a tedious, mind-numbing, repetitive task that never seems to end. The hardier flowers are popped from their stems and immediately applied with a special preservative glue. Seeds and a variety of other plant materials are also applied. The more delicate flowers are saved for the last moment, then placed in tiny individual water vials to preserve their freshness for the day of the parade. Four long days and nights later, the 6,000 square foot skin is covered with over 250,000 flowers. Almost all color detail is in place. The float is nearly complete. In the early morning hours before final judging begins, attention is focused on the fine-tuning of the computer program which controls the all-important animation effects. It's a nerve-wracking, delicate process. Hundreds of separate commands must be entered, rehearsed, and refined. Many changes are often entered at the last minute. The clock keeps ticking away. Judging begins 2 days before the parade. Tension is high. The float must meet the same standards applied to the highly budgeted, professionally built floats. Each year, the competition becomes more intense. The students will have to wait until the morning of the parade to hear the results. The float must be moved once again, this time to its assigned position in the formation area. It must be in place by 3 a.m. on the morning of the parade. Even at this late date, students scramble about, detailing the flowers, fine-tuning the computer and engines, checking hydraulic and electrical systems. Traditional spots in the parade route are secured, and then the final sleepless vigil. At precisely 8:30, the heralding trumpets signal for the parade to begin. Will another trophy be added to the Cal Poly collection? Sometimes there's disappointment, but more often than not, a trophy is awarded. However, banners or no, the real rewards are about to come. What is the Cal Poly Rose Float all about? To be part of the Tournament of Roses parade and demonstrate Cal Poly's tradition of technical ingenuity and team-building spirit to the millions of viewers around the world. To share with friends the sense of pride and accomplishment that comes from standing back and viewing the fruits of one's labor. That's the big moment everyone has worked so long and hard for. And that's what the Cal Poly Rose Float is all about.